Dear young angry Muslim man, you might see me as just an infidel, a kafir, but believe me, I'm on your side, not against you. I have a message for you, a message I wished you would have got from the Grand Sheikh of Al-Azhar or the Imam of your mosque or your Muslim community leader in Europe. But since all of those don't care much about you, listen to this message from me. Listen with your heart and your mind. You might find some truth in it. Many young Muslims in Europe are exhausted and angry. They have plenty of problems and I have no solution for them. Some of them search for a quick path for salvation, a shortcut to get rid of their troubled life on the one hand and to reach paradise as fast as possible on the other. Some of them travel to Iraq and Syria to join the jihadis. Some rent a van and plow into innocent pedestrians in European cities or stab them with knives. They believe this is the fastest road to salvation. They believe by doing so, they help Islam and Muslims. But in reality, they just destroy themselves and others and harm Muslims in Europe and in the Islamic world. In the latest weeks and months, many innocent civilians lost their lives in terror attacks in Europe. Right-wing extremists started a new campaign against all Muslims. But also normal Europeans ask themselves why innocent people and children had to die this way. Even peaceful Muslims are getting troubles now and ask themselves until when they have to defend themselves every time an angry Muslim kills innocent people. Dear young Muslim, I don't know where you personally stand on these issues. You might be against this vicious terror, but you are still silent. I want to urge you to raise your voice and condemn this terror in the name of your faith before it's too late and before we all lose. You might be justifying the killing of innocent Europeans, saying that also innocent children in Syria and Iraq die every day. I want to tell you that we can't face a mistake with a bigger mistake or justify a murder with another murder. You might agree or sympathize with this violence. I want to tell you that approving a crime makes you a criminal as well. Or you might be overwhelmed by your anger, thinking to rent a van or buy a knife and perpetuate a similar attack to make your own shortcut to paradise. If so, the rest of this message is for you. Let me ask you, do you want to be a hero to yourself, your family, and the country that hosts you? Or you want to be a hero in front of yourself, but a loser and criminal in front of your family and the rest of the world? Do you want to live and let others profit from your life, or die and let others die with you? Do you want your parents to be proud of you, or want your mother to die in grief after receiving your burned, deformed, dead body? Believe me, not everything we think is true is really true. And not all shortcuts lead us to our goals or solve our problems. I understand you and feel your anger. Maybe because I went through a similar experience when I was your age. Me too. I was angry and I wanted to kill infidels someday. Maybe you are also angry since you were a child. Angry because you grew up among oppression and domestic violence. Maybe you experienced less love and kindness. Maybe your father felt shame to hug your mother in front of you, but didn't feel shame to hit her in front of you. Maybe you learned from him that violence is the first option to solve problems. Maybe you're angry because you searched for a job in your country and found none. Or found one, but your boss was a tyrant who made your life like hell. Maybe you felt oppressed by a policeman or a person of power. Maybe you couldn't marry the girl you loved. because you couldn't save enough money in a society that estimates a man according to what he has in his pocket. Maybe you're angry because your family sold all they have and made debts to save the price for your ticket to Europe or to pay the smuggler. Maybe you took a risky journey through the sea to reach the paradise but found the bitter reality here. Maybe you searched for a job in Europe and didn't find one, or asked for asylum and your application got refused. Everyone who leaves his country to live somewhere else faces tough problems. The change of food, temperature, customs, financial problems, family pressure, sexual deprivation, or feeling guilty for falling in sin by having sex without marriage, or facing refusal or racism. Yes, also Europeans have their mistakes, but we too are not angels and we are not better than them. Otherwise, we wouldn't have left our countries to live here. Even our politicians come here to receive treatment or spend their vacations. Even some of the imams who urged you to blow yourself or to join the jihadis come here for treatment, vacation, or shopping. They ask you to go to Syria or to blow yourself, but send their children to study in America and Europe. I want to tell you something. Anger is actually a healthy feeling. It means you don't ignore problems. Suppressing the anger or redirecting it into the wrong channel is the problem. That applies to all feelings, by the way. If you fill up a teapot with water and close all its holes and put it on fire, it's a question of time until it will burst. If you remove the cap, the water will evaporate drop by drop until the pot gets empty. The same thing happens with anger. If you suppress it, it will burst. It will burst out and it will hurt you and it will hurt others. If you remove the cap, if you look into the pot and see the real reasons for your anger, it will evaporate. If you don't, someone else will come and convince you that the reason of your anger is not all the problems we mentioned before, but the infidel West, the wars in Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan, or your Christian neighbor. He will not convince you to face your problems, but to escape from them. He doesn't want to help you solve your problems because he lives from your problems. He doesn't want you to live because your death adds more points to his CV as a jihad recruiter and more dollars to his bank account. Believe me, if you love someone, you won't tell him that death is the best option for him. You would rather usher him through life. Believe me, there is no single cause in this life that deserves that you die for it. But there are many things that are worth living. Isn't God the one who is supposed to have created you? How can He need your protection? Isn't He supposed to protect you? Don't you really believe that, or do you really believe that He had created human beings, then divided them in two parties and asked the first party to kill the second one? Do you really believe that He is waiting for you with 72 virgins to reward you for killing innocent people He created by Himself? Where is justice in all of that? Why are you a Muslim in the first place? Because you were born to a Muslim family. Why are you Moroccan, Tunisian, Pakistani, or Egyptian? Because your parents are Moroccans, Tunisians, Pakistani, or Egyptians. So a mere geographic and genetic coincidence granted you your religious and national identity. The same thing applies to non-Muslims who happen to be born in France, England, Germany, Sweden, or Finland. Why do you think that God loves you for something that you haven't chosen and hates them for something they haven't chosen either? Why do you think that a non-Muslim who spent his life studying and researching to invent penicillin or telephone or air condition would go to hell because he is non-Muslim, and you would go to paradise if you did nothing but hitting him by a car? Have you ever thought about it, that a person that you might kill with your angry car might be working at the same drug fabric that produces the medicine for rheuma or diabetes that your own mother is using? Could it be that some of them pay taxes that the government uses to finance your home and health insurance? Or even if you don't profit from them, they don't deserve to be killed by you just because they opened their borders and allowed you in. Before you plow yourself or plow your angry car into innocent people, ask yourself, who will profit from that? Imagine a young kid that you just killed his mother, catching your hand and asking you, why? What did my mother did to you? Why should I spend the rest of my life without a mother? Can you look into his eyes and say with a comfortable conscience, these are the teachings of my religion? Is it not sad that Muslims keep saying that Islam is the religion of peace and mercy, while other Muslims kill innocent people every day in the name of Islam? Is it not sad that the word Allahu Akbar that Muslims recite every day in their prayers became scary for everyone who hears it outside the mosque? Try to go to a wedding or a soccer game or a cafe and shout Allahu Akbar and see what will happen. People will run away like frightened rats. What and who brought us there? Are you proud of that? Because you're angry, you don't see all of this. You only see yourself. You only see the 72 virgins waiting for you in paradise. If violence really leads to paradise, why do you think that the imams that urge you to commit it don't go and blow themselves? Why do they send their kids to study in America and Europe, but send you to die in suicide attack? Why don't they build a hospital or school for you instead of sending you to a death missions? That's because they don't care about your life. They receive millions of dollars from Saudi Arabia and Qatar to recruit you. These countries don't pay these millions to defend Islam, but to defend their own interests. It's about fights over oil fields and gas pipelines. You are just a matchstick in this whole story. They use you one single time and then throw you away. Do you see now that this bloodshed has nothing to do with heroism? There is nothing heroic at all in escaping from the problems of life, even if you insist to call this jihad. It's rather heroic to face your problems like a real man and overcome them. To leave good traces on this earth before you go, instead of leaving destruction and blood traces behind you. To lead your own way in life instead of imitating or following others blindly like a sheep. If you want to change the world, start by making up your own bed. Learn a profession or help the needy. Marry and have kids. Teach your kids to help and respect others regardless of their religion or race. Plant a tree and fight against hatred. Help your sister to lead a free life. And stand up to your imam in the mosque if he calls for violence or hatred. This is the kind of heroism that might lead you to paradise while you are still alive. Losing a job or refusing your asylum application is not the end of the world. We all get into troubles. We all try again. We all don't give up. I used to wash cars in cold days in Germany when I was your age. I was angry and I wanted to kill others. But I got rid of my bad thoughts. I studied hard till I graduated. and I had a good job at the university. This is not a single success story. I know many people, many immigrants, who came here with nothing and started from scratch, from under zero. And they kept fighting and fighting. And finally they made it. Be sure that hatred can never bring peace to you. And if you don't find peace in this life, you won't find it in paradise. Plant love, and love will be your harvest. Search for goodness inside your heart. You will find goodness everywhere around you. Don't give up just because the road is too long. For love might be your companion along this road. This road itself could be beautiful. Love is the hope. Love is life. So, please calm down and drop this knife from your hand. Salam.